Hey everybody, it's John here. I've been asked recently to do an updated tank update on what I've got going on with my sea monkeys. So for those of you that have not seen my other videos, I'm going to pretty quickly go through my setup, show you what I've got here, maybe talk a little bit about the lighting and the aeration, and maybe a little bit about the plans for down the road. If you got any questions, make sure to comment or message me. More than happy to answer them. And, just for the record, I'm not an expert. I'm a guy with a hobby. Had sea monkeys as a kid a couple times, back in the 90s. Now I am 38 years old and got into this a little over a year ago again. Started with one tank, and now we've got 12. Yeah, it's an addicting hobby. But again, I'm not an expert, but I'm a guy that's learned a thing or two over the past year or so, and happy to share what I've learned and to learn from you guys too. So let's go through what we've got. Like I mentioned, we've got 12 tanks actively right now, and they've all got various stages of life. Some of them have 100 plus sea monkeys in them. Some of them just have like 3 or 4, and that's okay. Some of these different colonies, sort of stabilize, with, a larger or smaller amount. Some of them are older than others too, that sort of thing. So we'll just go through them one by one. We'll start in the front here. This is the Japanese Magic Castle tank. I got this from the Japanese Amazon website. You can see we got a lot of algae growing in here. The sea monkeys in here like to stay towards the bottom. They eat that algae. They love it. We probably got 15 or so adult sea monkeys. There's some mating right there. Look at them. Aren't they cute? The algae grows on the castle quite a bit. You can see it on the castle towers there. Lots of algae. It grows on the bottom. You can see on the little fake rocks or whatever it is down there, and it likes to grow on the side of the tank. Usually I'll take a little squeegee and squeegee it off the side of the tank simply for aesthetics, because I like watching these guys swim, and if there's a film of algae on there, it makes it a little bit more difficult. But they eat it. This tank seems to be doing really, really well. Honestly, I have not seen one dead adult sea monkey in this tank since I've had it, so I think that's awesome. The shape of it makes it a little bit more difficult to aerate. I'll go over my main aeration system in a little bit. This is the one tank I don't have like an automatic tube going into. So I've got a couple of Sea Monkey air pumps that I've gotten from different sets that I've purchased or from the SeaMonkeys.com website. This came with the Sea Monkey Super set, which we'll talk about a little bit. Air pump, squeeze that, aerates the water. This is the newer one. It's on SeaMonkeys.com right now. You can buy this. I think it's $10 or so. You can probably make one of these too, but you can buy one of these. I think it's $10 on SeaMonkeys.com to aerate the water. It's basically the aqua leash with an air stone in the bottom. It actually works really well though, so I use that in this tank, usually a few squirts a day. All right. Next tank is this one here, which we don't have a whole lot going on in here. We've got, I think, 2 adults, maybe 3 living in here. A lot of times they like to hide in the back behind those buildings. I don't see them right this second, but I do know they're in here, saw them earlier today. This one is the one we call Gary's tank. It is the Sea Monkeys Mini World, the city. So you can see we got some algae growth in there. Not a whole lot of sea monkeys right now, though. They are hiding. Trust me, they're in there. Like I said, there's only 2 or 3 in here right now, adults. Next one, sort of the same situation. We've got at least 2 adults in here. This is one of the other mini worlds. This is the beach mini world. It's called the Hang 10. I can see 2 adults right now. You see one, she just swam up there. She just got out of sight of the camera. There's 2 of them right there. I'm pretty sure it's just those 2 adults in here right now. There might be a baby or 2 hiding in there. The babies get really tiny. Yeah, not a whole lot going on. It's just been those 2 for a little while. Yeah. For whatever reason, I have better luck with the glass containers than the plastic ones. And I've heard other people say the opposite. So, not really sure what's up with that, but hey, that's all right. Next one over here, this is the longest lasting colony we've had. This is lots of algae growth in here. This colony has been going for over a year without restarting it or dumping it or anything like that, without transplanting sea monkeys. You can see 1 adult swimming right there. only a few in here right now. I think I've got 1 or 2 adult females. There's one right up front there. She's not really getting into focus, but I think you guys can see her. There might be one other one in there too. I think there is. I don't see her right now though. Again, they like hiding in the back, hiding in the algae. Oh, I see a baby though. That's great. But this is what we call Clark's tank, the Sea Monkey Mini World Moon Tank. We started this on Christmas Day 2020. It is now January of 2022, so it's been a little over a year since we started this colony. And again, like I said, we really haven't messed with it. We haven't added more eggs. We have not transplanted sea monkeys to or from this colony, and it is still going. So I think that's a success. You know, when I was a kid, I had sea monkeys a few times, as I mentioned, and if I could get them to live a couple months, that was great. You know, that was the most we ever had them. You know, like I said, this has been going for over a year. You can see she's got an egg sac too, so hopefully she'll lay some eggs soon. That would be really, really nice. All right, let's move on. All right, back here. This is the sea monkeys. What do they call this one? The Big Show tank. Yeah, it's a movie theater tank. Now, this is sort of cool. It's a projector. I'm not going to show off the projector right now, but I've got other videos that do show off how the projector works. So feel free to take a look at them. That's the really cool thing about this tank. It looks like an old school theater. You can see the top of the tank, the lid looks like curtains, sort of neat. You can see the sea monkeys swimming around. When you turn the projector on, it basically projects their shadows onto the wall behind. So you just have a blank wall behind them, and you can see their shadow swimming around. Now, that's really cool. What I don't like about this tank is that the plastic area where they swim in the aquarium goes below where you can see here. You can see where we've got the red plastic that says, you know, live sea monkeys right there. They can go below there. So if you're looking at the front of the tank, you're missing about maybe 20 to 25% of the tank. And a lot of times they go down there to sift through the algae and the debris that's down there, and you don't see them. So you can probably see a few of them swimming around right now. And that's probably half the sea monkeys that are in the tank, because the other half are down below the visibility line there. So really interesting. I got this tank on eBay, 10 months ago or so, something like that. Next one is the Ocean Adventure tank. I know this one was sold in Singapore at Toys R Us. It may have been sold at other locations. That's what I know about, though. This one, I'll be honest, I've been having trouble keeping, a colony going in here. I've started it over a couple times, and right now, I know there's a few tiny babies in here. I can't see them right now. But a lot of times they hang out in the back and towards the bottom. I put that castle in there. That's just an aquarium decoration. That did not come with it. But, yeah, I'm not sure why this one's been a little bit more difficult, but it has. I don't have a whole lot in here. I've probably got 5 or less babies swimming around in here right now. So, yeah. But it's a cool looking tank. I like it. The lid does have a light, so it lights up a little bit at night when it's dark. As you can see, I've got lots of LED lights in this room behind here to illuminate the tanks. Those work really well. They're Philips Hue light strips, so if you're looking for something, having light behind your tanks makes it a lot easier to see the sea monkeys. Here's one that's doing really well. It looks like a fishbowl. I just put that blue Tupperware lid on the top. That did not come with it. Just to help decrease the evaporation, because the water is evaporating out of there pretty quickly. And this is called the Sea Monkeys Super Set, and it's from the Sea Monkeys International website. So if you live in the United States like me, this one's a little bit difficult to get. It's basically a fishbowl. It's not anything super elaborate. It's about 3 times the size of a regular tank. So when you buy it, they send you 3 of all the different packets. You get 3 of the water purifier, 3 of the eggs. I think you get 3 of the, Plasma 3 as well. I'm pretty sure that came with this. And you get 3 packets of growth food. You do get that first water pump that I showed you. That came with this as well. Or excuse me, air pump, not water pump. That first one, that came with this one. But yeah, it looks pretty. I put that little decoration in there. It's an aquarium decoration of a little tree stump. They seem to like it. Algae growing on it. We've got lots of sea monkeys in here. Mostly around the same size here. I haven't had a whole lot of second generations one yet. We've seen some mating. And there's one with an egg sac right there. There she goes. But these are mostly first generation sea monkeys in this tank. I haven't had this one for a super long time. But they're doing really well. They're healthy. You can see they've got their full gut lines on them. They're eating well when you see that, which is awesome. Yeah, pretty cool. All right, this next tank here is a Magiquarium. If you've seen the Ocean Zoo is pretty much the basic sea monkey tank. It's a standard one. You can see them online. They have them at stores. They've been shaped like this for a long time. Longer since before I was born, probably. Ocean Zoo is what I had when I was a kid. We had red and blue ones. This is pretty similar, except the top has got a little magnifying lens, which honestly, I'd never look through that. It's a lot easier to see them right through the front here. You can see one swimming up towards the top there. You see him up there? Or maybe it's a her. Can't really tell. And there's one towards the bottom by the right on the magnifier now. Yeah. The Magiquarium, though, it's like a regular ocean zoo, except the bottom glows in the dark. It's sort of like that milky, whitish, clear plastic that glows in the dark. And it actually works pretty well until you get some algae growth. If you look at mine, it doesn't look white or clear at all. It is green because we've got algae growing in there. Now remember, algae is a good thing for sea monkeys. A lot of aquarium keepers that have fish, they don't like algae, and they want to keep their aquariums looking clean and neat and all that good stuff. Sea monkeys eat the algae. It's actually good for them. So yeah, it doesn't look super neat, and crystal clear water with no algae might look a little prettier, but the pets like it like this, right? So this tank I've used for a few different things. I initially bought this to be a nursery tank, is what some people call it, where you've got babies in one tank, you take them out and separate the babies from the adults so that way they can feed easier. The theory is that if you've got a big colony going with a lot of adults, and maybe you've got a second or even third generation in there with lots of little babies, when you feed them the sea monkey growth food powder, the adults get to the food before the babies and the babies starve. So yes, I've been using this one as a nursery tank on and off. So not a whole lot in here. I've got a few, mid-sized ones. You saw a few of them swimming around in there. I think there's a couple small babies too. And sometimes you get small babies in tanks, even if you didn't see breeding, even if you didn't transfer them in there. And it's simply because some eggs take longer to hatch than others. When you first start your colony and you dump packet 2 in there and you wait a day or so and you see a bunch of little babies, that's great. And then sometimes, a couple weeks later, you see more little babies and you didn't have any breeding yet. And that's because some of the eggs just took a little bit longer to hatch. That's perfectly normal. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in another tank here. Yeah, so that's what's going on with this one. This one's my favorite right here. This one I call the SMES. That is an abbreviation for Sea Monkeys Executive Supersized Suite. That is the official name from this. You can buy it from seamonkeys.com. It is basically one of those big fishbowl drink glasses that you get when you're 21 years old and you go out to the club and you want to share a huge drink with a couple friends. They bring you one of these and it's got a gummy shark in it and some huge straws and some big tropical blue drink usually, right? Yeah, it's sort of hilarious. That's what this is. It's totally that. And yeah, well, the sea monkeys love it though. You can see I've got some algae growing in there. They're eating that. We've got lots of adult sea monkeys in here. There's a few mating pairs. I saw a couple earlier. There's one right at the top in the middle. See them? Go get it, you guys. That's great. And then there's one over on the left there too. Another one. We've got a few babies in here too. I don't know if you'll be able to see them on the camera or not. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult. I can see a couple in the back there. It's hard to focus on them. But yeah, lots of sea monkeys in here. This was the first tank that I bought myself when I got back into the hobby. I bought this for me, not for the kids. This is totally for me. Because I thought it'd be fun to raise these guys and have them sit at my desk, watch them swim while I work. I work from home mostly, so I'm sitting at this desk that we're recording this at right now, and I'm able to watch these guys swim. The reason we got more tanks at first was my kids each wanted a tank after they saw mine. So that's why we got the first 2 of the mini world tanks, the moon one and the city one. Those belonged to my kids. And then I started, following Reddit and Facebook groups on sea monkeys and learning about nursery tanks. So I bought this one for myself to be a nursery tank. And through the research, I found out about that projector tank, that movie theater one that we talked about earlier, right there. And that just seemed cool, so I bought it. And I used that as a nursery tank for a while too, actually. And then, yeah, it just got addicting, and we started getting more. We got that Japanese Magic Castle that I showed you, that super set, and we've got even more tanks. So that is, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's the first 9 right there. We got more. I'll show you. Okay. This one right here is available in the UK. And this is, I think it's called Ocean Treasure. It's a really narrow tank. It's sort of hard to see here. It's really skinny and sort of tall. It's got a little treasure chest in there. The treasure chest does have a little LED light. There's a switch on the bottom of the base, so you can turn that on and light it up. During the day, you can't see anything with that LED light. It's just not bright enough. And at night, it'll light up the treasure chest a little bit, but it's not bright enough to light up the rest of the tank, so you can't see the sea monkey swimming around. So yeah, the LED light's sort of pointless, but I think the tank looks really cool. I like the shape of it. I like that it's more narrow. I think the treasure chest itself looks cool. I've had this going for a few weeks now. You can see we've got lots of sea monkeys in here. So I call these like the teenage ones. They're not fully grown yet, but they're the shape of the adult sea monkeys, if that makes sense. You know, when they're first born, they look like little specks, and then they look like acorns that sort of wiggle around. Then they look like this. And then they look like this, but bigger, right? So I think they're doing well in here. You can see we got a little bit of algae growth on the bottom of the tank there. They love that. They go down there and eat that. I still feed them because I think it's difficult for the babies to eat that algae. But when we've got a ton of algae, I do reduce the feeding, you know, so that way they don't have too much going on in there. All right, here's the newest tank that I've got. This is the Sea Monkeys NASA Space Shuttle Discovery tank. Pretty sweet. So sea monkeys have actually been in space with astronaut John Glenn and others back in the 90s. And they did tests and experiments and all sorts of stuff, just like they do, you know, science, right? Lots of research. And I think they took a lot of sea monkey eggs and possibly some live sea monkeys too that had been hatched on multiple space shuttle missions. And I don't know all the experiments they did with them, but they did stuff up there, and they did stuff hatching eggs that returned. And because of that publicity, they made this tank, I think, for just a short period of time. I think this thing came out in 1997. I've got some more info on this in some of my other videos where I talk about this tank exclusively. But I bought it just recently, you know, a few weeks ago. The eggs were old in here, didn't want to hatch, so I bought some new eggs. And we have got sea monkeys swimming around in here. And look at there, up in the upper left corner, you can see them. Now with this tank, it's a little bit more difficult to see them because I like having light coming into the tank from behind, like all these. They look great, right? I got those LED strips on the wall behind there, and you can see into the tanks pretty easily. Look, see those guys swimming around? See those guys swimming around? They look great, right? This, a little bit more difficult. The back of the tank isn't clear like most other sea monkey tanks. It's got a graphic on it. It says Amazing Live Sea Monkeys, and it looks like a space shuttle. And it looks cool. It just makes it a little bit more difficult to see the pets. So I've got this little light here sort of projecting in there, and that definitely helps. Helps us see them. Also, it's a great heating element to keep the water warm for them. Sea monkeys do like warm water. You know, if you've got it between 70 and 80 degrees, you're doing pretty good. You know, try not to let it go below 68 degrees Fahrenheit, in my opinion. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy with a hobby. But that's what I've discovered. So these guys are doing pretty good. The nose cone up here, this is supposed to be an aerator. You press down on it like that, and air bubbles are supposed to come out of that little T-bar looking thing in there. And well, it doesn't work. I tried taking it apart and fixing it. No luck. So I've got an air line going in here, just like I do my other tanks. I'll talk about that in a minute. But and that's working just fine. I just think this is a really cool looking tank. I'm happy to have found it on eBay. It's really neat. All right, this isn't a tank, but here's my sea monkey bobblehead guy. It's from Funko, one of their wacky wobblers. Pretty sweet, right? All right, last one I want to show you is this. This is my only DIY tank, do it yourself. This is not an official Sea Monkey tank. This is actually a beer growler. So one of my other hobbies is craft beer. I've brewed in the past at home. I love craft beer, visiting new breweries, trying new beers. Lots of fun, right? And a growler is what you use to buy beer that's on draft to bring home. You know, it holds 64 ounces, and you fill it with beer, bring it home, drink it at your leisure. So I thought it would be a cool Sea Monkey tank. So I tried a DIY thing in here. It was going really well for a while. Then I added some stuff that's I bought online that's supposed to help the water and condition it for brine shrimp. I've used it in some of the other tanks too, and I think it's helped some of the microorganisms grow in there, the microalgae that they like to eat, but I think I put a little too much in here, and the water got pretty cloudy, and most of the adults that were in here passed away, unfortunately. So with sea monkeys, in my opinion, you know, they're pets. They're part pet, part science experiment, right? And you live and you learn, and yeah. So I don't have any adults in here right now. So after that happened, you know, I sort of let it sit for a while. The water got a little bit more clear. It's still a little bit cloudy, as you can see. Um, but we had lots of algae growth in here. I've got that light back there that really helps. It's sitting on a heating pad here because this one's larger, a little bit more difficult to keep warm. I put a big, huge rubber spatula in here and really stirred everything up. And a few days later, we had tons of babies. So I mentioned adults laying eggs, that the eggs don't always hatch right away. Or some of these babies that we've got in here now could be from eggs that I dumped in here when I first got it, and they didn't hatch right away. But anyways, after I stirred all this thing up a couple days ago, we've got a ton of babies. I don't know if they're going to show up on camera. Ooh, I think they are. Look at the bottom down there. There's dozens of them. And that's just one little corner of the tank. Pretty sweet, right? Look at all those. They weren't there a few days ago. And all I did was really give this a big stir. I did it a couple times. It stirred it up really good, let it settle, and now we've got babies all over. There's a bunch concentrated there at the bottom. I think you can see them. I can see them on my viewfinder. Hopefully they're showing up good on your end. Again, I'm not a professional videographer. I don't claim to be, and I don't want to be one. I'm just a guy with a hobby, right? I can see some swimming up towards the top too. They're not showing up that great on camera, but there's a few up towards the top at least that I can see. Can you see them? Yeah, look right in the middle of the screen there. You can see a couple, right? Yeah. Easier to see at the bottom because I think there's a higher concentration of them down there. Also, that's where the light source is. I know the babies are attracted to the light. Also, we can see them easier in the light. So there's probably more up top that we just can't see very easily because the water is a little bit cloudy, and we don't have the light up there. So pretty cool. I'm just going to let this go and see what happens, right? I thought they were all dead, and now I've got this. I feel blessed, right? This is not what I expected. I've got a lot of life in this tank right now. I've got more in here than some of the other ones, more than a lot of the other ones. There's a lot of little babies in here. Look at them. Aren't they cute? Yeah. So anyway, I think that's pretty cool. I'll talk briefly about my aeration system. Everyone always asks, what are the tubes? What are all those tubes for? All right, I've got a couple different air pumps right now. This big blue turtle looking thing, that's an air pump. This other blue little thing here hanging on that hook, that's an air pump. This one just plugs into a USB port. I manually plug that in. We've got that set up on the splitter, which actually goes into 3 tanks. Goes into that beer growler that I just showed you. Goes into this ocean treasure tank. And also the space shuttle tank. Then the other one goes into everything that's down on the desk, except for that Japanese magic castle. That one I aerate by hand. But the rest of these, I can just say, hey Google, turn on the sea monkey pump.
Sure. Turning sea monkey pump on.
And now we got bubbles. See that back there? Hey look, I can see the other adult in there. There's one eating algae on that air stone. There's the other one swimming. I can see her butt and air sac, or egg sac sticking out there. So that's pretty cool, right? That's how I aerate the tanks. And I'll usually turn this on for, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a couple times a day. Working while I'm not on conference calls or anything. Pretty cool. but that works really well. I've got splitters and valves up here so I can turn up the bubbles. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, they don't like it when it's that high. But you can control the intensity pretty easily. I showed you guys the lighting in here. I've got LED lights all over this room. You can change the colors too. Hey Google, turn the lights in this room orange. That's pretty cool. Hey Google, turn the lights in this room pink. Turn the lights in this room fuchsia. There we go. Fuchsia looks a lot cooler than pink. It even controls these lights too that I showed you up here. Pretty sweet, right? So that's what we've got going on. So that's my 12 sea monkey tanks. People were asking for an update. That was a long one. Hopefully it's long. Hopefully it's not too long. Hopefully you liked it. I've got one more thing to show you. This is the next project. You know, I've been doing these sea monkey things for the past year or so, a little over a year. I've learned a lot. I've had successes. I've had some failures, and I've learned from both of them. And I've learned from a lot of you guys too. You know, I watch a lot of the other sea monkey videos that are on YouTube. I'm in the Reddit group. I'm in the Facebook group. Learned a lot from you guys. So thank you for everybody else that's posting content out there, whether it's written, whether it's photos, whether it's videos on Instagram, Reddit, Facebook, YouTube, whatever it is. Thank you guys. So I've done a lot of these tanks, small ones, medium-sized ones with like the Smess back there and that beer growler. Now I want to do something extra large, extra large. Right now, the biggest ones I have are that Smess, Sea Monkey Executive Supersize Suite back in the left corner, and the beer growler up there in the upper right corner. Here's the next project. 16-gallon aquarium. Dun dun dun. Yeah. This is going to be quite the project. And guess what? There it is. That is a big 16-gallon aquarium. I've got LED lights built into the lid. It's got a filtration system. Now, I'm not going to use it. I know filters are death traps for sea monkeys. I'm not going to use the filter. I can easily just not plug that in, and we're good. And even in the filter chamber back there, where it is, you can't really see it, but it's sort of behind that black plastic part back there. There's lots of room, so I can pop a heater in there. Actually, I already did. This is empty right now, waiting to figure out the best way to get 16 gallons of salt water and sea monkeys in here. Probably put a couple little aquarium decorations and some sand or very fine gravel in the bottom. Not big gravel or stones because we don't want them to get trapped and die. We all know sea monkeys are cute, fun pets, but they are sort of dumb too. And they get trapped in the gravel and die sometimes, which is sad. We don't want that. But over the next week or so, I'm going to figure out what the hell we're going to do with this. And then we will have this giant, massive sea monkey tank right next to the desk. Look at the size of that compared to these. It is enormous. So hopefully it works. If anyone has tips on how to create and maintain, a really large sea monkey colony, let me know. Message me, comment on the video, get a hold of me any way you can. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that jazz. You can find me out there. I think this is really neat. I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a learning experience. Hopefully it works out well. But I'd love to learn from you guys too. If you've had success or if you've had failure, sadly, tell me about them. I'd love to learn from what you've done and see how it's worked or hasn't worked for you. And hopefully we'll see a lot in here. I'm excited to do future videos showing off this tank, hopefully with a ton of baby and then adult sea monkeys swimming around in there, next to all these other ones. Thank you for watching, everybody. Hopefully this was a good tank update. We've got 12 active tanks, 13th enormous one on the way. And again, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and all that jazz because I'm posting this on YouTube, and I think you're supposed to say that at the end of your videos. Bye-bye, guys.